C3 Risk and Insurance Services.
I need insurance.
Dude, I have a solution.
You do? What?
Go to our friend Joe Earl at C3 Risk Insurance Services.
Oh, it's terrific. And I also got this $25 gift certificate to Amazon.com.
From him?
Yeah, Joe Earl's the best. Tell him Shefsky sent you.
At Facebook.com/C3 Insured.
Crime
is a show where I, Rich Slaton, read a true story about lawbreakers.
with his sub-cuck, John Shefsky.
Ooh, I didn't know you could go lower level. Like there's different levels of cucking.
I mean, it's assumed that it's kind of redundant, right? You're a sub if you're a cuck. But you know what? I'm a sub-cuck. Double sub.
We have taken that Breitbart language and incorporated it into our lives. You know what?
Breitbart.
I feel positive about it. We're embracing American culture and bringing all of us together.
I love it. It makes me think of Bart Simpson. Like, he is pretty bright, isn't he? Play the music.
Yeah, I'll play that music right now. Crime is the show that starts now.
Oh, like right now?
Oh, yeah, do your line.
Okay. Each week, Rich reads a real crime story. I don't know a word that rhymes with story.
And my homie John always has the hot riff. He really loves it when you send...
Don't send anything to me.
him.
Don't you dare.
Crimepodcast@gmail.com.
Don't you send
Label
anything.
it John Shefsky. He loves them. Make sure the lighting's really good. Good to see you all again. I can see you. Did you know I can see you through a podcast?
Shut up, bitch.
I'm looking at you right now. Today, we have a really fun guest. You got to check out his show, How to Be Broke, on Comedy Central's
Comedy
YouTube
Central.
and Snapchat. Put your virtual hands together for Biniam
Bizuneh.
Thank you for having me. I love the term subcuck. Can I just say that? Because it sounds like you're like there's already the cuck that they have, and you sub
cuck?
out. Yeah, it's like when he can't make it, the dude calls you.
And then the other dude like flicks stuff at me, and I'm like, just please, let's just watch a movie.
Or even
okay?
like halfway through them having sex, he'll just like tag out and be like, "I gotta go to the bathroom. Can you?"
I'm just waiting for it.
I got to call in sick from watching this guy bang my wife.
Yeah.
Could you come in and cover for me?
I'm the substitute cuck. I'll be there in the morning when you call me.
Nathan Freudenthal Leopold Jr.
Is a sub cuck, right? Is that why you brought him up?
Probably, probably.
A
Probably.
lot of names.
Was born on November 19th, 1904 in the Kenwood neighborhood of South Side, Chicago.
Now, are we thinking he's black or white? I can't tell by the name, but the neighborhood sounds black.
The son of wealthy Jewish German immigrants.
So he's definitely black.
So
Okay.
close, yeah. Wealthy German Jewish immigrants.
Leopold had a 220 IQ.
Whoa, he's a smart little
I think
fella.
that's good.
Supposedly, he spoke his first words at just 4 months old.
Holy
He
fuck.
studied 15 languages, 5 of which he could speak fluently. He
At
was
4 months old? I'm just joking.
Yeah,
I knew it.
No, he knew all of those.
I knew it.
Bienvenue, my poop.
Yeah, but bonjour, baby, want the water?
He was also an accomplished ornithologist.
What does that mean?
He studied birds.
Oh.
Some might call him obsessed, as the third floor of his family home held his collection of over 3,000 bird specimens,
What do you mean specimens? Like they were dead?
like dead birds.
He was like stuff them like a taxidermist.
Yes.
Must have been
Okay.
stinky, too.
3,000 dead birds that he
How big's his nest?
cataloged.
That would be like that one room from Ace Ventura 2 with all the dead animals.
That'd be a way different movie if they were dead. Come to the jungle, friends, and
No.
it's just corpses.
You know the one scene where he walks in, he's like,
part two.
"Ah!"
Part two,
yeah, that one.
Love the
Yeah,
room
right.
of death.
That one.
How rich are these people? Rich as hell?
Yeah, they're very wealthy Jewish German
Yeah,
immigrants.
you can't speak like 5 languages from a young age unless your parents are giving you all these tutors and shit. Like, he's rich.
It's fucked up, bro.
I mean, 3,000 birds. I'm just like, you gotta have a lot of
Nathan
rooms.
even got permission from the city of Chicago to add to his collection by shooting birds in public parks.
Wow.
He's walking around.
You got friends in high places where they're like, yeah, you could kill the birds on the street, kill the pigeons, put them in your fucking collection.
you just
I
walk
talked to
up
the
next
cops. My dad knows them. We're cool. He's just walking around with a gun.
You just walk up next to some kid's birthday party. They're grilling in the park. You just start shooting birds next. No, it's okay. I'm a scientist. It's totally fine.
Yeah, I have a
May I
pass.
have permission to shoot an endangered bald eagle? Like, yes.
Clearly.
Pleasure to meet you. I'm Leopold. I'll be shooting the birds right next to your picnic. He just has a little rifle.
He had a number
What kind
of-
of Jew has a rifle, by the way? Who's this fucking kid?
Yeah.
These are legit
Well, he's
Jews.
a German
Le Jew?
Jew. It's very confusing.
Too Jew to quit? All right.
He had a number of similar fixations. As a child, he insisted on visiting and cataloging all the churches in the neighborhood and visiting certain streets because of their numerical values.
Well, this dude's definitely autistic.
Yeah.
Let's get
Certainly.
that out of the way.
Well, but this is a time when they didn't have that.
Yeah.
They were just like, you're weird.
He's a
They were just like,
refrigerator kid.
he's a quirk. You
Yep.
know, like some weird.
He's a killer, mommy. That boy over there with all the birds and the lists.
Oddly enough, he was not a popular child. Nathan was teased relentlessly, even more so when his classmates found out he had briefly attended an all-girls school when he was 6.
Okay, his parents just fucking him up at this point.
That's his parents' fault.
Yeah.
How do you go to an all-girls school if you're a guy? Put him in a dress?
You tuck it back, obviously.
Well, it's like they were overprotective, sent him to a girls' school, and then they went extremely in the other direction. We're like, oh, we need to boy you up, give you guns, let him shoot him anywhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I want my kid to experience both to the extreme, a period and a rifle discharge.
They were early, like, we don't believe in gender fucking normatives.
Yeah.
He can go to a girls' school, he can have guns.
Or they were just good Jews. They were like, this is how we fit in and survive. You know,
Yeah.
you put on a mask and a little outfit and you do the dance that other people do and you say, I'm not Jewish.
His young life was even more confusing by the fact that his governess, a 30-year-old German woman named Matilda,
Hot, already
was
hot.
having sex with all the boys in the house.
Does his governess, the one who's like, is that like principal? What does that even mean?
It's like a nanny. It's like a nanny, but better.
But they
Obviously.
wait. So like, but so
She'll
you went
clean
Have
to
you seen
pipes.
Sound of Music?
yeah.
Governess.
So he went to school like at a stay away school because he's rich. Like it was like a boarding school.
No. He went to school in the neighborhood.
But, like-
his governess lived in the house. It's like Sound of Music. She lives in the house and
But-
she runs the child's lives.
The fact that they call it all the other boys, they don't sound like his siblings. You know.
Oh yeah, all the other
Yeah,
boys and they were their siblings. I wrote this, by the way. This is my terrible
Yeah, so
syntax.
good work, Ben. Ben's
Yeah.
our editor. He's a live editor. He's going to
Okay.
make sure that
She was having sex with his brothers.
with him and his brothers and fooling around with all
So
of them.
this is after
Okay.
he did the Butters thing and pretend to be a girl to hang out with
Yes.
the chicks. Okay, so he
Okay.
went. So then he got out of that school and then went to a regular all boys school.
Yep. No, it's a regular. I don't know if it was all boys or not. But there were 2 main private schools in the
see,
area.
But
that
this
guys
sexy
went to.
German lady with big, beautiful, milky breasts,
lived in his home and
blonde,
took care of him and his
flowing hair,
siblings,
and
was
loved
jerking
all
him
of his-
off.
Okay,
I
that's-
mean,
yeah.
that's like he's like the earliest version of like those kids who fuck their teachers. You know,
Yeah.
Oh,
like
man.
1904 version of that.
this guy's way more interesting than the other people that we hear about, right?
Yeah,
None of
yeah.
them have a bird collection like this kid.
And fuck 36-year-olds when they're like 14.
That's
That's
what's
dope.
up, bro.
Yeah.
By 15, he had gained enough credits to graduate, and he enrolled in the University of Chicago in 1920, where he became friends with another genius boy from the Kenwood neighborhood.
Ace Ventura 2 reference.
Yeah, I got it.
So he became friends with another genius boy from his same neighborhood. Richard Albert Loeb was born June 11th, 1905.
Not Jewish.
He grew up
Loeb.
2 blocks from Leopold with even more wealth. His father, Albert, by the way, they were also Jewish, just so you know.
Yeah, it's not
His
bad.
father, Albert,
wrong?
the vice president at Sears Roebuck and Company, amassed a fortune of $10 million, about $127 million today.
Damn, that's a lot of bird.
And the
it.
family loved to flaunt their money. Albert built one of the largest mansions in all of Chicago. Like Nathan Leopold, Richard was also extremely intelligent, with an IQ of only 160.
Jeez, poor guy.
What is like the top out of IQ, just so we have like a basis?
Well, this is a slightly different IQ scale.
Okay.
But like anything over 150 is genius level.
Okay.
Type stuff.
So 220 is hilariously genius.
220 is like more than Einstein, maybe. Like it's like very.
Well, you got to understand they're trying to start they're making a rating scale out of a non-tangible kind of like an abstract thing. So like you can't just fully judge someone.
No, it's tangible.
yeah.
You dumb,
But-
bruh.
Nah, dog. You
Bruh. Bruh, dumb.
this is John justifying his low score.
Listen, I got 60, and I think, right? I'm thinking.
But yeah, it's like a thing where it can be an indicator, but you can't really.
yeah, but like you might be great at all these mathematical things, but you don't have any empathy for people, or you don't understand.
Well, we're not measuring empathy. If
I
I'm
know,
trying to, if
I
we're
know.
having
What
an
kind
arm
of
wrestling
economy would do
contest, I'm not
something so
measuring
awful?
I'm not measuring your speed with an arm wrestling contest.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm
it's fine.
saying?
It's fine. I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
wrong. You
So-
can measure everything about someone through their IQ test. Thanks.
No, you can measure their IQ through IQ test. I or not. But you can measure things like if we're measuring dicks, we're not measuring faces. Like if
I
my dick's
knew you would
if my
bring
dick's
penis
way
into
bigger than your
this.
dick,
I knew you
has
did.
nothing to do with whether I'm also more attractive than you
the
are.
The way we measure dicks was like calling them by face. Like how many faces is your
How many
dick?
faces is
like
your dick?
length. Most people are 1 or 0.7 or so.
Yeah.
You know, that's how we did it as kids.
Bro,
but-
I'm 4
That's actually
faces.
a sign of a high IQ right there. How
Yeah.
you measure your dick is part of the test.
Unlike Leopold, Loeb was good-looking, attractive, and popular.
Did he have a sister named Lisa?
Yes.
Okay.
But he too had a governess. There was no sex, but she was extremely strict. While the other boys, I know. So
you made it sound like it was going to be something good. There was no sex, but she was extremely strict. So
So he still got hard when she bossed him around, but then he had blue balls.
while the other
It's a
boys were
horrible
able to
situation.
enjoy their free time, Richard was stuck inside, adhering to a relentless study schedule. He developed a habit of lying just to get a little free time, which he filled by reading detective stories. He loved the intellectual intrigue. He even began to imitate the books by conducting surveillance on his neighbors.
Oh,
So he's going to turn into a little smart creep.
Yeah, he's on some Rear Window shit.
Sometimes he pretended to be a detective, but more often than that, he fantasized about being the criminal, outwitting investigators with the perfect crime.
Oh, fuck. He's studying from a young age. He's breeding himself to be a fucking...
Is he going to kill this
Stop
kid?
looking at me like that,
That's my
Slaton.
guess.
Go on with your story.
At his governess's insistence, the high school reluctantly gave Richard an accelerated course load, and he graduated at 14,
Oh, earlier than Leopold.
a couple little Doogie Housers, huh?
enrolling that fall at the University of Chicago. Without the constant supervision, his commitment to his studies lowered dramatically. He stopped going to the library, preferring to spend his time getting drunk in speakeasies.
Well, you got to wonder at this point, like both these kids, they graduate real early. Is this a nature or nurture thing? I'm guessing nurture because they have all the access to the fucking education.
It's a distinctive possibility.
It's a combo of nature and
Well,
nurture.
because I guess they have IQs that are high.
Well, because they also went to high schools that were like, not everyone was doing that.
yeah,
They were abnormal.
Could you have a high? Can your IQ be high, like higher, if you grow up around people who are telling you to learn and read
They think
books?
so. They're learning about that. Actually, now I've heard them talk about like women's IQs. Now that you treat them like as equals, they actually like they're scoring higher, and you're like, oh,
Ooh, gotta stop
interesting.
that.
yeah, we
We can't have them
that.
figuring out shit.
So
Nah, dude.
What if
Well-
women figure out how to make like cybernetic robot bodies and then they can fuck us up? Then what? Then we'll lose everything.
Hey.
Bro, we'll lose everything,
Long
man.
live the patriarchy. That's what I say.
Seriously.
Is it-
for fuck Skynet, I'm trying to stop women from getting smart.
Yeah, man.
They're the real thing that's going to take
Ooh.
over.
Man lives matter. That's what I'm saying.
There we
Oh,
go.
God.
Yeah.
We are going to have to live huddled in fucking fear for this shit soon.
Of these robot women.
I'm tired. Yeah, the Google female
I saw
robot.
those articles.
It's gonna, yeah.
It was saying your sex robots could be hacked to
They might
kill
fuck
you.
you
like,
to
To
death.
just chop your dick
But
off. Did you
like
see those
that's
robots?
everything. Like they can make that article. It's like your self-driving car could be hacked to kill you. Anything that's like a computer can be hacked to fuck you up.
And before you had a robot computer car, people would actually put bombs in them by themselves by hand. I mean,
Yeah.
we've done-
Here's
we've
the
done
important
stories on
question,
that.
though: is could your self-driving car be
Suck
hacked to
your dick.
fuck you? Right?
Okay, yeah.
That's way more important.
Future cars will suck our
Yeah.
dicks.
If a fuck bot can be trained to kill you, could a car be
I
trained
mean,
to fuck you?
The Tesla Bachelor car.
I think
it'll suck your dick.
like next to the cigarette lighter there will be a fleshlight. It'll come standard.
It just comes
and all.
out though.
Yeah.
It reads your retina and it sees your pulse and it knows like my master is horny.
While
and
you're
it just starts
just
sucking
sleeping,
your dick.
You're sleeping on your way to somewhere,
You
and it just
wake up-
comes out. It just fucking sucks your dick.
And then I come and I'm in Arizona. I got
and
the Phoenix.
the best thing about it is it sucks it up. No cleanup. It
Oh,
just
yeah.
goes straight into the section. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, mom.
Sorry, mom.
Your mom listens to this podcast?
Yes, she
Oh,
does.
sorry.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
What's up, Rich's mom?
Nathan Leopold.
Biniam didn't have to apologize. He's been a good boy. We've
Yes.
been dirty bad boys. Slap,
Nathan
slap, slap.
Leopold, on the other hand, poured himself into his studies, performing so well the university made him into an upperclassman.
Wait, his middle name's Leopold?
So there's Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb. Leopold and Loeb.
Butter's name was Leopold Stotch. And Butters dressed up as a girl and became friends with... Remember?
Sidebar, Kate and Leopold, great romantic movie from around 2004. I highly recommend it if you're listening to this podcast.
Strong move.
Fucking
on.
perf. All right, guys. That's
Yeah, I wouldn't be
a plug.
surprised if Matt and Trey based the character of
little
Butters
bit-
off of this. It's not a not known story. You know
All
what
right,
I'm
I'm
saying?
sorry for stopping going with the story.
Despite their drastically different personalities, Leopold and Loeb became close friends. Richard Loeb was everything Nathan Leopold coveted. Coveted. Good-looking, sophisticated, and sociable. Perhaps most importantly, he was willing to be Nathan's friend. Something that came in short supply for the awkward bird murderer.
And Loeb is like, I can add him to my collection.
Yeah. Leopold's the weird collector. Nathan Leopold is the weird bird collector. Richard Loeb is the cool guy who also wants to surveil people and be a master
Like he's the
criminal.
cool guy that's getting fascinated, probably getting boners off all the burglary stories,
Yes.
right?
Totally. He's
a
Be
sociopath.
thwarting the cops' investigations. All right.
Nathan was totally devoted to Richard. He even made a chart of the perfect man, giving Richard Loeb a score of 90, while grading himself as only a 62.
Yo, this
As
is
he nudges
some-
him, you got a 90.
This
Nudge,
is some
nudge.
straight on the spectrum shit. Like, no way. It's like, and that's fine, you know, but it's definitely interest. Like, okay, go ahead.
He gave himself a 62.
I mean, he's honest.
Oh, he's a sub.
Their other acquaintances got a most like a 30 to a 40.
Like, what is he like? Who is he showing this to? Did he make this? And he
Just
was
to
like,
Richard Loeb.
He's like, yo, Richard, check this out. I made this chart of me and our 5 dudes we know, and you scored like 90, man. I made it up.
So what you think? You want to take a bath?
So when Richard began to suggest less than lawful activities, Nathan jumped right on board. They started by cheating at a campus card game. Not for the money. They had more than enough
rush.
money just
For the
to
rush.
prove they could pull it off.
Yeah.
Next, they moved to petty vandalism and theft, maybe a little bit of arson.
What
Which
do you mean,
Richard,
maybe? I'll just throw that in.
a little bit of arson. Yeah, they burned a couple of things down. Yeah,
but then, set a little
burning
fire.
stuff down, not a sign at all.
Most
Yo,
definitely.
This is where Winona Ryder learned to steal shit because they're rich and don't need it. She's like, they did it. I can too.
I just got to rush. Yeah,
yeah.
It's all about the rush, dude.
Richard would plan all of their activities in meticulous detail, something he enjoyed as much or more than committing the acts themselves.
Interesting.
Richard Loeb, a complete narcissist, saw himself as a master criminal, but his ego needed an audience, which Nathan provided. Still, he fantasized about becoming so notorious that he would be caught, placed in prison, stripped and beaten by prison guards in front of a crowd of girls who would view him with awe and pity at the same time.
If this guy was alive now, he'd be a comic for sure.
Without question.
Yeah.
Wait.
I just need an audience.
I feel like I've met this guy a couple times.
Part of his fantasy was to be.
stripped and beaten by prison guards in front of girls who were like, he's so scary but so alluring.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's almost impossible. The part of that, they're not going to be in the prison to watch this.
I mean, if you're as rich as he is, maybe he could.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
You're
he would
very
definitely
smart.
be into
You
some
do have a high IQ.
dominatrix stuff too. That's he'd be into that.
Oh, it's so fun.
He'd be all that.
Yeah.
Quote, I was abused, but it was a very pleasant thought. I enjoyed being looked at through the bars because I was a famous criminal.
Interesting. Dude, that's a huge ego situation. Let your physical body just get beaten to shit just so you could be like, it's
Well, I mean,
me
most of the
they're
people who
watching.
want to be like, get super tortured in bed are people who are powerful.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like
yeah.
a giving away power type thing.
Yeah, because it's exhausting to
Which
always
is
be the
why
powerful
I
one.
love getting beat up in bed because I am so fucking powerful and dope, guys.
What's up, Rich's mom?
Yeah, dog.
I like a balanced amount of beating in bed, just, the same as on the outside.
Nathan was also living out a strange fantasy. He imagined himself as a slave who had earned the gratitude of the king, Richard. The king had offered him freedom, but Nathan preferred to dedicate his life to serving his master.
What's hilarious is that his version of a slave, like he's still white because it's like a British slave with
Sure.
the king. Like the other slaves, like that's just like not even part of.
Yeah, no, slavery has no effect on this.
No, of course I'm a white slave. My God, no. I'm a white slave.
I'm a white slave. I live in quarters. It's in England.
I'm the
with
noble
kings.
slave.
Slave's a thing. It's more a mental thing than a physical thing. Now bring me some tea, boy.
Yeah.
He would protect Richard with his powerful skills as the world's strongest man. So his whole fantasy is
Did he
like
grease him up and be like, right there, let me pose you?
his whole fantasy is like he was super strong and powerful, and that he would save the king, and then the king would offer him his freedom. He'd be like, "No, I don't want my freedom.
I always want to be yours.
I just want to be
pet."
by your side."
Oh my God.
Wow. Did he write in like a journal, and that's where all this is from?
Well, I'll tell you where all this stuff. We will find out where this stuff
Okay.
comes from.
Okay, cool.
It's fascinating. The two fantasies fed each other. Richard, the master criminal, needed an audience to witness his greatness. Nathan, the powerful slave, wanted nothing more than to serve his grateful king. It was a match made in heaven. Until 1921,
What happened there? After
Richard,
World War I?
after
How
visiting
old
friends,
are they at this point? Are they?
still in their teens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're
they
still
didn't-
very young. Because they started. I think they started college in like 1920. So they were like 14 and 15 at the time. Richard, after visiting friends at the University of Michigan, decided that Chicago was too quiet. Michigan. I just want to thank you guys for
Thanks for catching your own.
Mish,
fucking-
I can.
Michigan.
Are you a professional reader for the show Crime? Because you fucking suck.
Probably.
I'm just joking, dude. Keep up the good work.
Richard decided that Chicago was too quiet, and he would finish his degree in Ann Arbor.
Which is way more. I guess at that time, maybe it was.
Action-packed Ann Arbor, Michigan.
I mean, and if it was these days, you want to stay in Chicago for that action.
Actually, it probably was pretty awesome in those days, right? This is like right before, this is when Detroit and all that whole area was like. It was booming.
Detroit was huge.
It wasn't what we think of
This
now.
is before the Detroit movie happened.
Yeah,
Well, I
this
still
is-
don't think University of Chicago,
before
even
RoboCop.
today, is like a big let's go have fun at this university. Whereas
Yeah.
Michigan to this day is still like, let's go
the-
have football and beer and shit.
We don't have listeners at that part of Chicago that are going to be offended.
Well, I guess if you're staying only on campus, yeah, but Chicago as a city is still like.
Yeah, Chicago's still a dope city, and that school is like a good school, but I don't think it's a place where you go, you're like, I want to go party and like have a raucous good time. I think it's where you go, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm smart, let's get some shit done.
That's true.
Shout out to Sister Slaton, because she's at Chicago right now.
Hey, girl, Shefsky saying hey.
Nathan, desperate to keep his only friend, went with him. But that fall kicked Nathan in the teeth. As soon as the term began, he contracted scarlet fever.
Whoa.
Then his mother passed away
pictures
from
of Scarlett
that
Johansson. And you
herpes?
can't stop.
Yeah, scarlet fever is mostly just you look like Scarlett Johansson. It's
Oh,
really
that's a
it's weird they named it that
a good
before she was
problem to
around, but
It
What the
sounds
hell is-
like such a pussy disease.
Scarlet. Would you get scarlet fever?
He's like, yes, my cheeks are ashen.
Oh, I have Jennifer syndrome. What's scarlet fever? Though,
What did you get? Like lace fever? Yeah, scarlet fever.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is.
I didn't-
You researched the story.
I
What's it?
researched so many things. This is not a big point in the story.
Okay, yeah.
If you Google scarlet fever, will
the
pictures of
beginning-
Scarlett Johansson in a bikini come up? Because I will
Hopefully.
look for it.
Hopefully.
I will look
Yeah,
for it.
hopefully. This is the beginning of a thing. As soon as the term began, he contracted scarlet fever. Then his mother passed away after battling a long illness. Nathan went home to be with his family, but when he returned to school, he found a cold new reality. Richard had accepted a bid to join the ZBT fraternity. But the members had warned him that hanging out with Nathan, a weirdo and suspected homosexual, could damage his chances of membership.
Looks like we're not the only ones who suspect it.
A lot of good IQs in this fucking world, right?
Yep,
We're doing all right.
yep.
Well, when we saw our cousin Nathan jumping rope with a rope made of dead birds, we knew he was probably gay and a weird murderer.
These fucking dicks in the fraternity,
I mean,
they had to fucking bro
They're
it
like,
up.
it wasn't the perfect man scale that he made. It's definitely the bird rope.
Right? Well, they were already a Jewish fraternity.
Yeah.
So they're like, look, we're Jews. We can't also have gays.
Yeah.
This is 1921.
That's
But he's a
already
Jew
our
gay.
thing.
yeah.
So if it's a Jew gay, like
I mean,
Fagala.
gay trumps Jew, I think, in this
gay
time.
Trump's Jew.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is actually our new
Gay
campaign
trumps
slogan.
Jew, rock trumps scissors. It's well known.
There's paper,
Bear
rock,
beats ninja.
scissors,
Yep.
gay, Jew. All right.
Richard cut him off entirely. Devastated, Nathan
dude.
finished out the year before returning to finish his degree at Chicago. Nathan, now unencumbered by his bad boy fascination, flourished in his senior year. Graduated with honors and planned to enroll at the University of Chicago Law School that fall. Back in Michigan, Richard Loeb also graduated by skating by on the bare minimum. He spent his school years hanging around the fraternity house, playing cards, reading trashy crime novels, and continuing to develop his significant drinking problem. With no career in mind, he decided to continue his studies back at the University of Chicago.
Is he still obsessed
What?
with crime at this point?
yeah,
So, like-
So they both went 1 year there, or
Richard Loeb finished his undergraduate degree at Michigan.
Oh.
He was actually at the time he was the youngest graduate in Michigan history at the time. He graduated
Even though
like
he's a
17.
slacker?
Yeah.
oh, he's still kicking ass even though he's slacking.
No, he's not kicking ass. He got through it.
oh, okay, he got
and he's
Ds.
just the youngest. He got like B's and C's and a couple A's.
Oh yeah, he's doing better
And
than
when-
I did in community
when
college.
you're kind of like an academic
Ugh.
rich family, it's just like, of course you're going to go to grad school.
Yeah.
It's just part of it.
So yeah, he's gonna go to grad school at Chicago, where now
you just pay like
Nathan's about
double
to study.
tuition. Like yeah, and here's an extra $100,000 for not having good grades.
Name a building after me.
I like that park bench over there.
Within no time, the boys were back together. This time with a little more intensity. While Richard would regularly boast about his sexual conquests, in reality, he was almost completely indifferent to it. So he had no issue with satisfying Nathan's passionate sexual desires.
Wait, what?
Nations.
Nathan's. Don't get caught up on Slaton's slight
I
of
know,
tongue
I'm
there.
just-
Nations.
Yeah, so Nathan...
You're the fucking professional reader on crime.
just
Get your shit together, kid.
Where's my... Hold on, but I don't have anything to carry it with.
Okay, sorry.
So Nathan eventually just goes, "Hey, can we fuck? Hey, can we fuck? Hey, can we fuck?"
To his
And
best friend, and his best
Richard
friend was
Loeb's
like-
just like, why not?
Wait, so Loeb is
you
the
try that
one.
shit with
Richard
me.
Loeb is the cool one.
Oh, Loeb is the cool one who's been at Michigan.
Yeah.
And Richard would be bragging about like
Fucking all these chicks.
chicks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess he did. But he wasn't that in. He didn't give. He was like he was so sociopathic.
It was
he was
passe.
he was disconnected from sex. So when his best friend and this guy who works with him is like, "Bro, can I suck your dick?" He's like, "Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
why not?
I'm gonna play Game Boy. You do what you're gonna do.
Yeah, we'll fuck. Why not? It didn't matter to him.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, do you want beer or wine? I don't know, whatever.
There's this theory I have about like if you get famous and or whatever, you're just having like a shitload of sex with every hot girl, you just get like tired. Like you're just like pussies. I've had so much. Like why not just get my dick sucked? Let's see what that's like. You know, like
Yeah.
it's just kind of like a boredom type.
Yeah.
It's like why like really rich people will eat like penguin.
And
They're
you're
just
just
like,
like,
I've
yeah,
had all the
this
best.
is this is Biniam setting up his future gay trysts. That he's like, look, when years later he's sucking dicks, he's like, look, I told you guys 20 years ago.
It's
This
like
is what's
I
coming.
just got tired of all the pussy.
This is your Easter
I've
egg.
had black pussy. I've had Cuban pussy. I've had all the pussy.
Now I want some man pussy.
Pussy.
I don't even want it. I'm just willing to try it because I'm bored.
Look, we support you here on crime.
Thank you.
I hope that you get famous enough that you are bored of pussy.
I mean,
I don't ever
that's-
want to be bored of pussy.
You call it the Will Smith. That's the dream.
Did he get bored of pussy?
I mean, there's a gay rumor about every
Crime does not support any rumors about any of these famous people.
That's right. We don't support rumors.
yeah.
Even the
We're
even the album from Fleetwood Mac.
We're
Just
anti-rumor.
we stay clear of it. We don't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
I heard that Shefsky jumps off in public like all the time.
Oh shit!
Don't tell him I said that.
I don't support that rumor because I am on the Crime Podcast and we don't support rumors.
That's right.
here.
We don't support rumors. Now, find me a man to suck his
Nathan's
dick.
sexual attention stroked the most important thing for
Nice
Richard,
wordage. It stroked it.
his ego.
Did it spit on its hand before it stroked his ego?
Yeah. That's the only way you stroke. That's how I stroke egos. I spit on my hand first.
Otherwise, you'll chafe the ego.
Sure. A question in the back.
No, I was just like, wait. I got confused with the spit on the hand thing. Wait.
Oh, because he said he used wordplay. He said that he stroked his ego.
Nathan
And I was
began
like,
to stroke.
Okay.
his ego. Like he's giving a hand job to his ego.
I didn't look. This story was hard to nail down. Some of these turns of
this was
phrase
good.
I didn't
that was
nail.
Good. That was on me. That
Okay.
was good.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I heard this rumor that Biniam doesn't know how to listen to words. I don't want to spread it around because we're not cool with rumors here, but that's what I heard.
I've heard that too.
Also,
actually.
he's gonna fuck everybody eventually.
That's the goal.
Yeah, all 6.7 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
That is, he would be so dehydrated. That's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're already so
Men,
skinny. Seriously,
women, robots, cars.
you fuck so much you have to have
all
an
of
IV put in to
car
rehydrate.
fucking? That's
Trees.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
I support you, man.
You can fuck your car.
Part of Nathan's obsession with his friend
almost
came from
fucked
his
an Ultima
fascination
once.
with Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of Übermenschen, which technically meant beyond men, but was mistranslated in English to supermen,
I thought that was a new app.
right?
Ubermention.
I don't know what they would do.
It's what they deliver men to you. It's like what's that one thing where they deliver stuff, and then
Postmates.
Postmates crossed with the men that you have sex with.
These individuals, these Übermenschen, would be physically and mentally superior, so much so that they would rise above societal rules, even the rules of law. While Nietzsche wrote of a man who, given these abilities, would be willing to risk everything for the enhancement of humanity.
This sounds like something Hitler would fucking read. Nietzsche talking about Ubermentions.
strap in. Nathan,
Strap on. Am I right? What?
Look, get famous enough, you can.
Oh, gross. I will not get bored of the lovely
Nathan
lady, my
interpreted it to
wife.
mean that morality had no claim on supermen, that they could do anything they wanted, even if it gave them pleasure, even murder. So, long story boring, Nietzsche wrote this like fictional story that was, the whole premise of it was that God was dead and that these Übermenschen would sort of take the place, was a goal that humanity was trying to reach, where we'd all elevate to a point where laws didn't apply because we were all working towards the betterment of humanity to a certain degree. It was like nihilistic humanism. Best way to
Did
put
Nietzsche think he was a Ubermenschen?
I don't think he did.
And do you have to be a man? Or could you be a woman and also be an Uber? Does that Uberwomanschen?
Well, yeah, that's you gotta choose. You gotta.
This is really going towards the master race philosophy.
Well, so it's interesting. So the intention of this, from what I've read, I haven't actually read the original documents, but from what I've read about it,
Are they cruel
Was that it
intentions?
was yes,
like the film.
yeah. There's a little spit going from lip to lip. It's so hot.
Very hot.
Was that the whole idea of it was that this would eventually be like a thing to achieve for the human race, like us getting to that point where we're beyond all this stuff.
Yeah. I could see
So
Hitler just giving a
two
passionate
people
speech about
interpreted
this.
it poorly.
Yeah.
One of them was Nathan Leopold, who thought that it was like, hey, Übermenschen, that means we're above the law. Do whatever the fuck we want if it makes us feel good. The other one was Hitler.
Adolf Hitler.
He also misinterpreted it being like, well, we can be better than it. We are the Übermenschen.
This is why
everyone
people
else is the
shouldn't be allowed to
Untermenschen.
write. All right,
yeah.
go on.
Yeah, no, this is why literacy is bad.
You can't read. No writing. It's bad for us.
According to Nathan, he and Richard were both Übermenschen.
You
I guess-
self-proclaim
I guess a
like,
six-
I'm above the law.
I guess
You
a
are
65
too.
is on the man scale is enough to reach
Yeah.
Übermenschen.
Yeah.
Okay.
The cutoff's at 62. He made it beyond it.
He's just writing it as he goes.
On Saturday, November 10th, Michigan football came from behind to win and preserve an undefeated record for that season.
Hooray!
Sounds unrelated, but continue.
Campus broke out in a wild, drunken series of parties that
Let's
raged
party!
until 2 in the morning.
Woo! Whoa,
Wait,
2
are
in the
they-
morning.
They're back
Jeez.
at. Wait, was Michigan at Chicago? Oh, this is in Michigan.
This is in Michigan.
Okay.
This is at home in Michigan. The U.S. Marine Corps football team came in, scored the first touchdown scored against Michigan at home of all season, but then Michigan rallied back to win the game and preserve their chances at a national championship.
Hell yeah, go Michigan! Woo!
At 3 in the morning,
Party!
a red sports car pulled to a stop in front of the ZBT house.
What year is this? 19 what? 20?
Like 21, 22.
Okay, so
Oh, no,
just-
by now it's like 1924.
Okay, so just old school sports
Yeah.
car.
Out stepped Leopold and Loeb, each carrying a flashlight and a revolver.
Hello!
They snuck in and burgled the place,
Burgled it.
taking cash, some
burgled
watches, a
it.
penknife, and a typewriter.
Can I ask you? Did one of them, maybe Leopold, have a scarf around his neck like a Red Baron?
Almost assuredly.
Because the kind of sports car I'm imagining, I feel like they pull up
Almost
and he's
definitely.
like,
And this is definitely the kind of place that just leaves the door unlocked because they're like, we trust you,
Well, remember,
college.
Richard Loeb is a recent former member of the fraternity.
so he still has a key.
Yeah.
He knows the handshake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going in, there's not really a big deal.
I still find it interesting that these two Jews use the master race thing in their own.
It's so
This is
it's so funny that
hilarious.
their whole thing is like based on what Hitler based his whole thing on.
But they're two Jews. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so
Isn't
funny.
Hitler
dude.
like half Jewish or something? Or-
His
I think-
grandmother.
I think his
so
grandmother was Jewish. He's
a quarter
self-hating-
Jewish.
He's a
not
quarter.
too shabby.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Hitler was a quarter Jewish. This is seriously, it's like the epitome of the self-hating Jew. Like he's like the frame picture on the wall you point to, like, and there's the number one self-hating Jew. And it's Hitler. Like he hated himself so much he killed most of us. Go on with your story. That was very sad riff. Holocaust, never forget.
On the ride home,
This podcast sponsored by the Simon Wiesenthal Tolerance Center. All right, go on.
on the ride home, they drank a bottle of gin and rehashed the night. Richard was over the moon about their amazing crime. It would be so cool when the papers talked about it the next day with no idea who was the culprit.
Wow.
So I edited it out for time, but now that we're actually going quickly enough, at some point during this ride, they got into a big argument because Nathan got pissed off that they always did whatever Richard wanted, but that they didn't fuck as much as he wanted to. And they had
Oh,
this-
so they're regularly fucking.
well,
They've become boyfriends.
Not that regularly fucking. So basically, Richard struck a deal. Was like, hey, we'll keep doing my weird activities, and we'll fuck 1.5 times a month.
God damn, how bad do you want to follow your dreams
So
of
that means
burglaring?
a
that you have
fuck and a blowjob. That's because that's a half.
Well, what he meant, he said, he said, we'll fuck 3 times every 2 months, but 1.5 times a month is funny to say. Yeah.
That's so funny that they were like, okay, let's draw up a contract. One crime for every 3 fucks. Yes.
just the idea that they're burglars and somebody's talking, someone's like using sex to get what they want, and the other one's paying it. Like I'll keep stealing stuff with you. I'll keep fucking you if you keep being my partner. Like,
I will pay in crimes.
yeah, I'll pay in crimes. Meanwhile, Leopold's like sitting on the stick shift as he's driving
Yeah.
home. Yes, when can we have sex again?
What about an arson? Well, that's a hen job.
That's right. Oh, the different levels of it.
That's what I'm assuming.
Where's my bag of
That's
jewels?
how I'd set up. If I
So
was
like,
me bum.
Richard is the one who wants to be a criminal, right?
Richard is the cool kid criminal mastermind. Nathan Leopold is the probably
Horny
autistic
weirdo.
bird murderer who wants to fuck this other dude.
And so Richard might not even be gay. He just like wanted his crimes done.
Maybe- yeah, he might just. not
Well,
even-
like I don't know how gay or not gay he really was. There's a lot of
he doesn't
speculation.
seem like he's not interested in sex. Like he said, he's had sex with a bunch
he's
of
more.
women.
He's more.
He doesn't care.
He's beyond sex. He's uber
Ubermenschen. Yeah. Ubermenschen are above sex. They stimulate the minds.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys? Is there anything
He's
that's
uber
beyond
sexual.
sex to you guys that you like better than sex?
Well, there's asexual people.
Food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you like food better than sex?
Probably.
Or how about this? A lot of people, I think, agree, but you'd never have heard it out loud. But like, let's say you've been having to pee for like an hour and
Oh,
you're
yeah,
in a
it feels like
car
you're gonna come.
and you go and
When you
actually
pee?
pee. That's borderline as good as coming. I'd rather have sex because it lasts longer and it's
yeah.
better. But like, it feels almost as good.
It does feel like you're coming when you're standing over that urinal. And you're like,
yeah, and you're like,
it's like the Dumb and Dumber scene. Where you're just
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
bottles.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
when you're having sex, when you're having sex is better. Like when I'm having sex,
Thank you.
sex is better than food. But when I'm not having sex and I'm like, well, there's a plate of good food and there's sex. I'm
Well,
like, ugh,
the thing about sex
food is pretty awesome.
The thing
Wow.
about sex
I
is
love
different
food,
than
but
food.
nothing
Is like
compared to
if you're
sex.
really hungry, food is amazing. Whereas like if you haven't had sex for a while versus if you had it yesterday, it's pretty much the same regardless. Like it's not like it gets better if you haven't had it for a while.
oh, sex
Do you think
does
so?
for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's cycles of the moon. I mean, I could go through all the different things.
Feel like when Mercury's
the
in
top is
retrograde.
sex. Sex is like one of the top.
So they hash out
Mercury's in
their
retrograde.
they hash out their crime for fuck deal.
Yeah.
And as they get closer to home,
Oh yeah, the story. We almost forgot.
Richard's
I
happiness
was all
with
excited. I was like,
yeah.
"You guys like sex?" I put on my shirt. I have
Yo,
greasy,
let's
I have
talk
like a
about
greasy
fucking.
chest. Yeah. Guys, let's talk
The
about
fuck cast. Let's
no one
go.
can hear us down here anyway.
Guys, I'll commit crimes with you if you have sex with me.
Nice.
That's a good offer. But as they got closer to home, Richard's happiness with the burglary began to fade. It was too easy, requiring none of their superior intellect. If they wanted to prove their Ubermenschen, they needed to plan, execute, and get away with a
Are you going to say a
massive
murder?
crime.
Is this not been made into a movie yet?
There have been movies made about it. I don't know what the most recent one was.
The not so great Gatsby?
Yeah. In the last few miles, Richard came up with a brilliant plan.
I'll suck your dick. Oh no, Richard doesn't. You suck my dick.
They should kidnap a child, a wealthy one from their old neighborhood, demand a ransom from their parents, and kill the kid anyway to leave no clues behind.
Oh my God. No, this is the. Oh my God, this is
And
the
then,
story
like-
of the century of that
And then
time.
fucking Leopold's got to be like, okay, if we're doing this, I got to have 7 fucks.
Yeah.
2 blowjobs.
These are the kind of crazy people that are out there in our world just wandering around. Like, we got to kill some kids so that we can get our name in the paper.
And you've been letting
What
me
the
fuck
fuck?
you. Now I want you to fuck me. You know, like
Yeah.
he's like making so many demands.
You know what? This murder's not even worth it.
yeah.
You're making the sex so... Can we just, like, fuck regular to murder?
Yeah, they just need to give the bird guy some fucking dick and get him rehabilitated out of the crime world. And then Richard needs to, I don't know. This is...
So, that idea sounded cool to Nathan, who suggested that the victim should be a girl. He described a long-held fantasy of being part of a German military unit and gang raping a French girl. It would make him so happy if they could do that.
Wait, isn't he a straight dude? Or isn't he a gay dude?
Wait, Richard
This
is
is
Loeb.
Richard Loeb.
Loeb.
But this is Nate. Richard Loeb suggests
But Nathan-
let's
Oh.
kidnap a kid and kill him and
Yeah.
have and do a ransom, make a cool crime.
And
get away with it.
Leopold, the guy who's been bugging Richard for his dick all this time,
Yeah.
is like, I want to rape a French girl?
Yes.
Yeah, but there's
What
like
the fuck is the matter with these guys?
there's
How
the
come
thing,
rich
though.
people have the fucking craziest kids ever?
I told you, man.
Holy
It's just
fuck.
like you're bored of life. So then it's just like But like
Well,
I think
I got to talk to all my rich friends. Are you
Yeah.
guys out there raping
I
and
think-
fucking
I
killing?
These people are both Mr. Burns.
Yeah. I think
Jesus.
that, but like is pedophilia is like its own thing, right? Like where like they just like boys and girls and it's all just like isn't it its own like it's not like a
Biniam, there's a spectrum.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
need to
Who
acknowledge
knows?
that sexuality is a spectrum. It's not just binary.
Sexuality is a
I
trip,
think
dude, just
but
in
like,
general.
Like if you're because
Your cisgendered approach to this sexuality question
pedophilia?
is so offensive.
I think that I don't know. I've heard people say that before. That pedophilia is like if you're into kids, you're just into kids.
Well, yeah, I think that's what that is.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I probably will be eventually, as long as the show keeps going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, the more morbid, awful things. I feel like I'm reliving my childhood of like reading I read like Time Life books like on the Holocaust that my grandpa had bought when I was like fucking like 10 or 12. Like, you know, I'm like home alone. Like, what's this book? And you see these morbid pictures. Like, oh, I don't want to see or hear this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And I've avoided it for I don't know 10 or 20
And then
years.
he's joined the
And
True Crime
Yeah, and
podcast.
doing crime. Like it's like every week I'm like
Yeah.
Like,
Don't worry, we'll have some
just
whimsical
reminded
crimes
that people
soon.
Yeah, let's have some
We'll
crimes
do
where
some
people
whimsical
maybe
ones
they
again.
paint-
Nah, I'm into
paint
this.
something.
Keep going.
Yeah,
This is
But
dope.
Richard had his perfect crime planned out, and he was not happy with the idea of Nathan ruining his vision. So they bickered the rest of the way home. Boy or girl? Rape or not rape? I Spy or Slug Bug? You know, the usual
These guys
road
are
stuff.
fucking psychotic.
Eventually,
They're bickering about that while they're driving?
yeah. Drinking gin.
We gotta fucking stop these guys.
Drunk driving, mind you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Eventually, Richard put his foot down.
Jesus, mother's against drunk drivers.
Eventually, Richard put his foot down. This was his idea. They would kidnap and not rape a boy from his old high school.
Wow, he chose the high road.
The high road is
Actually,
too.
That's the high road
It would be
in the
called
story.
GAD, right? Governesses Against Drunk Driving.
Oh my
Wait, but is they're going to kidnap a boy from the high school, not rape him?
But,
Okay.
but they're going to kill him, though.
But kill
their,
him.
their plan is to kidnap him, demand a ransom they don't need because it makes the story bigger.
Because they're rich, they
and
don't
then
need
kill
anything.
him so it covers their tracks and get away with it and just
What do
sit
their
back and
parents
watch.
think about their kids being a little weird?
So Richard Loeb's parents have no idea because he's
just don't-
like
they don't know
he's,
him.
'Cause he's cool.
Because he's cool.
Yeah.
Their kid is cool.
But still, they just don't know their kid. They're busy being rich and doing their own thing. They have a formal relationship with their child.
Yeah, they have
probably.
a
They're like,
governess
How are
raise-
you,
Yeah,
dear?
yeah.
All right.
They had a fuck governess raise him.
Yeah.
Like they're not
forgot
super
about
dialed
that.
in. Also, Richard Loeb's mom died when he was young, I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I can't remember which one had their mom die. I think Nathan's mom died when he was older. Richard's died when he was younger.
Yeah. Okay.
Nathan's parents, they know he's kind of weird, so
they don't know he's murder weird.
They don't know he's murder weird, even though he's like got 3,000 dead birds in their house. But they're so happy that he's friends with Richard because they're like, oh, Richard's a good boy from a rich family who's got good social connections and is popular. He's a good influence on our weird little boy.
Oh my God! So they think that like he's in good hands right now. They don't realize he's in the hands of someone
Exactly.
equally as fucking disturbed.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
How bad does this story make weird people sound though? I bet there's a guy out there right now that's like, I have a lot of birds collected and I like to
Not going to his house.
convince my straight friends to have gay sex, and you're like, but I don't want to kill anyone. You know what I mean? Like this makes more people.
Nah,
Look, this
they
makes,
all want to kill people.
you think so? I guess if you have
All of
3,000
them.
Look,
birds.
if you can convince a straight guy to fuck you, good on you, man.
Yeah.
But if you have
like your fans
3,000
at your shows.
yeah, dude, that guy was so strange. It was so fun.
Side note for our listeners:
Side note,
one of Slaton's fans came, or some guy who became
A guy
fan,
who became a fan of mine very
live
much tried to get
stand-up
me to have
show.
sex with him last night.
tried to get.
Hey,
Slayton
what
to-
was his exact? Was that over text?
No, it was
You
I-
exchanged numbers with this guy?
no, I gave him my personal email, my address,
Shut
of course. They spent the next 7 months meticulously planning every aspect of their perfect crime. Some of the details were simple. They had a hiding place for the body, inside a drain pipe where the heat and water would help it decompose.
Nice.
Other details were harder to decide.
Using their biology skills.
So these guys have no empathy.
No, none.
They're not connected to anything
No,
besides their
because
own pleasures.
everyone else, because in their minds, everyone else is lower than them.
Yeah.
They are Ubermenschen.
Oh my God! they're
Everyone else is
insane.
ants.
Fucking Nietzsche has done so much damage, although he's had some funny ass things that he said.
Other details were harder to decide, like how to kill them so they could share in the murder.
Oh my God!
We stab at the same time. No, that won't work.
1, 2, 3, go!
You went earlier than me, dude. You went on one. I was on go.
We gotta get a different kid. We gotta start from scratch.
Richard suggested they tie a rope around his neck and pull from each side for a team strangling.
Okay. Teams. That's the first time I've heard those two words together.
This is the first time a kid's gotten killed in our story. This is the worst
No,
ever.
that's definitely not
Team-
true. We've
what?
had kids die in our stories before.
But this way, graphically,
This one's pretty fucked up.
This is
is
like
fucking-
for the Manson children, like that's a sport they play, like team strangling.
Yeah.
You know?
Since Nathan's bright red sports car was easily identifiable, they needed to rent a less conspicuous car. But that would leave a paper trail. So Nathan opened a checking account at a small bank under a fake name and used that to rent a car. The day before the plan, Nathan took one last bird-watching trip with some friends.
I don't even know you could rent a car. What year is this?
1924.
I mean, I guess.
Well, an interesting note about renting the car, everything is so fucking complicated here. So to get the bank account, he had to have like references and all this different stuff to open up a checking account. And then when he went to rent the car, they wanted references for a car rental.
I mean,
So he had Richard Loeb staged up at like a payphone or a public phone at a bar.
Yeah.
And gave them the number of that public phone as Richard Loeb's number. Or as some other fake guys like Mr. Johnson's number.
Yeah.
And then they called and they're like, we're calling to check on the references of Morton B, whatever his fake name was, to see if is he reliable and upstanding? Well, yes, he is. Okay, we'll rent him a car now.
I mean, it was so easy to get away with things, first of all, back then. But then second of all, like, cars were so new back then that renting a car back then would be like renting a helicopter now.
Yeah.
Where it's just so fucking hard. And yeah, they're like, why would we trust you with our $1 million device? You know?
well, you can call and check my references, and it's just a phone. These guys are actually clever.
Here's my
Yeah,
resume. Yeah.
You know, I actually got to support them, you know?
Yeah, for a second,
You
you're
know
like,
what?
these guys are-
I hope they pull this thing off.
Yeah,
I'm really rooting
yeah.
for him now.
It sounds like a cute heist until you bring up that they're going to murder someone. Go on.
I hope that Nathan pulls off Richard. I
mean,
hope they pull this kid's head off, and I hope they pull off the
It
crime.
sounds like a comedian trying to use his friend to be his manager so he gets
Oh, yeah.
booked
Yeah.
somewhere.
Oh yeah, dude.
The day before the plan would take place, Nathan took one last bird-watching trip with some friends. Not so coincidentally to their body dumping site. Of course, watching meant trying to shoot more birds for his collection. He missed. They had everything in place. The car, the method, how to dispose of the body,
Their
how
creepy
to safely
minds,
collect the ransom.
their psycho thoughts, all of their weird needs.
They had pre-written the ransom note typed up on their stolen typewriter.
Wow. Like, they don't need to use that one, but they're using it because they're like, it's part of the crime. This is stolen.
Stolen.
Yep.
We want to steal even
They
the
even
elements we
picked a
use.
date.
You think that guy
May
gets a boner when
21st.
he's like, "Is it stolen?"
My steel
Dick
boner.
gets harder and harder.
He's like, you can steal my heart. Ooh. It goes down then.
They even picked a date, May 21st, 1924. The last thing they needed was a victim. So they made a list of potential targets. 11-year-old Armand Deutsch looked like a great choice, but Nathan 86'd him because Armand's grandfather was the president of Sears Roebuck, and if they got caught, it would embarrass his dad.
These guys
Don't
are
you think it's
fucking
gonna embarrass
crazy.
your dad no matter how? If you get caught and it's anyone,
Yeah, but if your dad's boss, that's like a lot. That's a worse embarrassment.
I mean,
Conflict of interest.
Like,
yeah.
like if you get caught jerking off in public, you're embarrassed. You get caught
jerking off in public
job.
a lot of times in the show.
it's like the dad wouldn't be embarrassed if it was like, oh, it's just some homeless kid. Whatever, we kill 10 of those a day. Go on about your business,
Yeah.
Leopold.
It's a real shame. Send him a new refrigerator.
After weighing many children, they settled on Johnny Levinson, the 9-year-old son of Chicago's wealthiest attorney. They planned to follow him home from his baseball game, but he left before they arrived.
Damn.
It looked like their plan would have
Lucky
to
fucking
wait.
kid.
Drat.
The kid didn't even know that he was on their list.
Yeah.
How creepy. Did this list come out right away? Like, oh my God, this is fucking weird. Like the parents are like reading the list like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is terrifying.
Richard suggested they do one more lap around the neighborhood, and that's when they saw 14-year-old Bobby Franks. Richard knew he would make the perfect victim because he knew the boy well, because Bobby was his cousin. They had played tennis yesterday.
He's like, we can kill my cousin?
Wait, this is the
What the
Richard.
f-
this is
Richard, the cool.
This is the cool one.
The cool one, Richard
Okay.
Loeb's cousin.
Okay.
Yeah, super cool, right?
I mean, it makes for an
right.
easy
Yeah,
kidnapping
cool.
too, where he's just like, "Hey, cousin, get in the car."
I mean, that's literally what happens next.
Okay.
Nathan pulled the cart next to Bobby, and Richard offered his cousin a ride home. At first, Bobby refused because his house was only 2 blocks away. But then Richard convinced him to get in so they could discuss tennis rackets from yesterday's game.
Wow. how could I miss out on such an enthralling conversation?
I bet he regrets that. So, I mean, he's probably
He's
dead now. But like, when he was getting killed, he was like, all over some fucking tennis
Yeah.
rackets. I don't even like tennis, dude. Fuck.
yeah. Not even that big of a tennis guy.
As they turned the corner, Richard took out a chisel and smashed the handle into Bobby's head. But it didn't put him out. So it was interesting. Instead of stabbing with the chisel, he wrapped the chisel part in like leather and used that as a handle, and like with the handle of the chisel was using that as like a hammer.
This is dumb of me, but I can't remember what a chisel looks like. What is it? What is it?
So imagine like a flat, like a spatula kind of. Okay, so you have this flat piece
A piece of metal sticking out of a piece of wood that you then hammer the piece of wood to get the metal. Yeah.
And it's not sharp, really.
No, it is
sharp.
sharp.
It's for like
it's sharp and thick.
Oh, it kind of
imagine
looks.
a ruler
Yeah. It's
or
like a
scraper.
spatula without the little dip.
Yeah. There
you go.
Okay, I
Sure.
got you. I remember.
And then you got a handle on it. But if you
use
wrap
it to
the-
scrape off drywall.
So you try to make some
guys,
sort of
Google
like,
chisel.
Okay.
That's what I'm telling our listeners. Google the chisels.
Google the Chisels. They're a great band out of Norfolk.
He hit him with the handle, but it didn't put Bobby out. So he hit him a bunch more. Bobby just yelled and bled all over the blanket they had laid down for that purpose.
In the car?
In the car, yeah.
Fuck.
Richard stuffed a rag in his mouth and taped it shut. By the time they arrived at the disposal site, he had died. So they didn't get to do their cool, like, double strangle thing.
It's like, we got to do it again. You got to kill
They
him.
give him CPR so they can
kill
bring him
over.
back to life.
We got kill over.
Kill over.
Yeah.
Car.
Kill
Game
over.
on. They stripped the body, and Nathan poured hydrochloric acid on the face to make sure no one could identify it. Then he remembered something his brother had told him. You could identify someone
By their teeth.
by the shape of his genitals.
Really?
So
mean-
he poured the rest of the acid on his dick and balls.
I mean, that was a definitely
That's
just
not
a thing a brother just says, like, hey, you can tell who someone is by their dick. Because, like, how's that supposed to work? His dad knows what his dick looks like.
Yeah, no one knows his dick well enough to be like.
I could pick my son's dick out in a lineup.
That's
Although
why
to
you
be-
never do when they tell you fingerprinting. You never use your dick for the fingerprints.
Although to be fair, Nathan did grow up in like the governess fuck house. So maybe he's like, well, every house has a woman who knows your
rich
dick.
She might have been
people-
like, "Yeah, this is Nathan. I can tell by the shape of your balls."
Rich people do some weird shit where it's like, yes,
You
we
think?
all made dick molds made so we could have them for posterity.
Dude, I would do that right now though.
yeah.
Just on a goof.
Yeah.
You don't have to be part of the elite to do a dick mold, baby.
Now that they were sure no one could identify the body, they lowered it towards the drain pipe. Well, they discovered that it would not fit.
God.
So
damn.
Nathan jumped down in the ditch where he shoved and kicked the body until it finally crammed into the small hole.
Okay.
He was just like kicking it like, get in there, you stupid body.
But now they're hoping that it's going to decompose in here. It's not like this is a long like thing like you can push him so it can't be seen. It's like it's at the edge of this pipe.
Yeah, it's not like all the way in the pipe.
Okay,
It's
okay.
like it's kind of sticking. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever. We did it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking horrified.
The first part done, they drove back to town for phase 2, the ransom. They mailed their pre-typed letter to the Franks' home, then went to dispose of the evidence in the furnace at Richard's house. They burned the bloody blanket in the woods so no one would notice a telltale smell. They smashed the typewriter and threw it into a pond. With everything in place, they headed to the Walgreens to place a call, demanding ransom from the Franks family. Nathan quickly and awkwardly told Mrs. Franks that he was Mr. Johnson. He had kidnapped the boy, and they would receive a ransom note tomorrow.
Awkwardly, he's like, hey, I'm totally not Nathan or Richard. I have your boy. He's dead. Money? No, he's not dead. I'm sorry.
You know, I don't know if anyone has. I don't know if anyone's like killed your son, or ransomed your son yet. But like, if they haven't, you know, I would. If you're not cool with it, it's fine. But like, I'd really like to demand a ransom for your boy.
He's just the most awkward burglar. Yeah.
They went back to Nathan's house to have a drink and celebrate. Later that night, Nathan drove Richard home. Richard felt his jacket pocket and found the chisel. So he threw it out the window of the car, where it landed in the street.
You fucking idiot.
And
covered
the night
in blood,
watchman,
probably too,
yes,
right?
covered in blood still. The night watchman heard the sound and found the bloody chisel. He looked up just in time to see a red sports car turn the corner.
Oh,
Fucking stupid.
You're gonna get what's coming to you, fucking murderer.
Why wouldn't you hide? You gotta hide the murder weapon. Like, you don't just dispose of it.
These guys are out of their fucking mind,
And
dude.
they think they're like they're
think they're-
untouchable.
yeah.
And they think they're untouchable, yeah.
The next day, they put their ransom plan in place. Call the family. Instruct Mr. Franks to go to a trash can, where he would find a letter that would send him to a drugstore.
They're going through
where
this
he
much
would
trouble.
get a call.
These guys are
They would
too bored. They
send-
need fucking day jobs.
They would tell him to go to the telegraph box at the train station, where he would find a letter telling him to board the train. Wait for it to pass the water tower, count to 5, then throw the bag with the money out the door. Simple.
You're being sarcastic there.
I mean,
Of course.
it's real easy for like, because anytime this happens, what you do is you call the police and you tell them what the plan is, and then the police are like, okay, we'll just go there and wait, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
No,
But then a lot of people say, like, no cops.
No cops, but how do they?
Well,
know?
that's their whole thing. Is like that's why they set this thing of like a series of calls and letters, where it's like a call sends you to a letter, sends you to a call, sends you to a letter. Then you get on, then you get that letter. You board a train, it's leaving immediately.
Oh,
And then the
immediately.
train's moving, and because they time this whole thing out, and the train's
Yeah.
moving. And once you're on the train, it tells you like, hey, here's where you throw it off, and then they're waiting for have a car waiting down there. They take it and go.
And all the while, this fucking poor kid is dead.
Super dead.
Oh, you've been dead.
Like very dead.
These parents are like, oh, well, let's get the money to him so we can get our kid back.
Yeah.
You're not getting your kid back.
But then disaster struck because someone found the body. The hydrochloric acid hadn't really burned much at all. It merely made his face a little off color. It was very clearly Bobby. They didn't even need to look at his genitals.
Okay, that's a gross. You didn't need to write that sentence.
I mean, they live right next to what? Like, what's the lake that's right by Chicago? It's like the fucking lake. It's not. It's part of Lake Michigan. It's Lake Michigan. They could literally
Basically
just,
an ocean.
Yeah, they could throw it in there, weigh it down with rocks, and none of this would have happened.
Yeah, you should go back and help them.
Look, I'm
should
just
fix
saying
this.
I should be a murderer.
You should have produced this murder.
Yeah. Look, guys, I'm not going to touch anything. Let me just be your executive producer.
Look, I have some notes.
Look, I'll fund it and I'll tell you some things, but
I've
I'm
been
gonna
in this
let you
business for
guys
a
do
long
what
time.
you do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay out of your way.
couple notes, that's it.
Couple murder notes.
Guys, we got some stuff back from the studio. Standards and Practices does not like some of this murder.
I don't like this murder. Go on with your story.
But
Get to the parts where justice is served. I'm fucking disgusted.
But they did find one more thing at the crime scene. A pair of glasses.
Bum, bum, ba-la-la-la-la-la-la.
But Leopold and Loeb weren't concerned. The ransom had simply been a part of the show. They didn't need the money. They went back to their normal lives. Sort of. Richard went to hang in his old fraternity house, where he ran into a bunch of friends of former brothers who were now reporters. And he openly speculated about the murder and the kidnapping.
Oh my god.
He's like, I bet it was some rich kids who were gay, maybe. I don't know.
I think it's an engine. It's one of those engines.
Well, he even he even took them. He was like, well, guys, the paper says that a ransom note sent to the Franks told him to go to this particular Walgreens. Let's go there and investigate. And he took these reporters on he led an investigation with reporters to find.
This is a
the crazy
psycho.
thing about it is he's definitely gonna. You know, one of those situations where you're like, it's crazy how they poured hydrochloric acid on his face, and it's like they never said they poured hydrochloric acid
Oh
on his
yeah,
face.
that's how you get found out.
Yeah. He just says something.
It's crazy how they made his dick so they couldn't identify him with it anymore.
Yeah. You know,
It's crazy how he's my cousin.
I thought that was the best touch, honestly.
So did the reporters know that it's his cousin?
Yes. He even said, quote, to the reporters, to his reporter friends, he said, quote, if I was going to murder anybody, he was just the kind of cocky little son of a bitch that I would pick.
Wow. That's his cousin.
This is such a good example of how we can't assume that just because you're at the college age that you're mature or trustworthy.
Or
These are
if your
college
IQ
kids.
is high, that doesn't matter either.
Oh yeah, that might even
Sometimes
be a
it's a
deficit.
problem.
That might even be dangerous.
I mean, it might just means you're good at Sudoku. Like, it doesn't mean you know anything in real
you
life.
have any kind of sense about like living
Yeah.
in the tribe and being fair to other humans.
Yeah.
Good God, I'm never going to college.
While
now.
Richard
This
was
is
teasing
disgusting.
the world with his knowledge of the case, Nathan went to one of his law professors to discuss the intricacies. Specifically, whether or not the perpetrators were likely to get the death penalty.
So was he getting nervous now? He's like,
Look,
so if someone did get caught, not saying anyone in particular, but if someone did get
and
caught,
I'm asking for a friend.
for a friend, really,
Just to let you know.
Pure intellectual curiosity. What if they only meant to kidnap him?
Ben had it when he said, "I'm asking for a friend." The classic. I'm asking for a friend.
Not me.
Not me.
Oh
God.
Yeah.
If I were going to murder him, it'd be so different.
Yeah, if I would murder him, he would be the cocky piece of shit that I would choose. just to let you know.
Some of Nathan's questions. What if they only meant to kidnap him? What if they only intended to, quote, take improper liberties with the boy?
Do you think he asked the way you're asking right now?
Yeah.
Does that mean rape him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But his whole thing, he's like, well, what if they only meant to kidnap him and then the murder happened accidentally? And the guy's like, well, they kind of talked about the conversation because this guy was one of the witnesses. Well, if they killed him in the middle of a felony, then that would be murder then. Wouldn't that be murder instead of manslaughter? Okay, but like, what if they just did it this way? He's like, well, then that would be a misdemeanor. Like, he just
breaking it down.
The professor was just super happy that his brightest pupil was like taking such. He's like, oh, you're so interested in this case.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
yeah.
Intellectual curiosity.
He takes his glasses off and turns to the chair, like, sit down, let's
Sir.
talk. I'm so excited.
Yes.
I've been waiting for this day, my pupil.
Oh, the student I've never had but always wanted. While Richard was telling anyone who would listen about his theories on the murder, the police were working on their only lead, the pair of glasses. As it turned out, the frame had an unusual hinge mechanism, purchased by only 3 customers in all of Chicago,
Why? Because it was fancy? Is it fancy as fuck?
including Nathan Leopold. Still, the cops didn't actually suspect Nathan was involved in the crime. He was too wealthy to get caught up in some ransom scheme.
He's too wealthy to murder someone. Oh, the ransom thing.
The
Yeah, that
ransom
makes sense.
example.
That's a smart touch by them.
As part of the routine investigation, they searched his room and found a handgun, which was illegal because it was unregistered, and a letter, unsent, addressed to Richard Loeb. The letter was strange, as Nathan both threatened and pleaded with his friend. Quote, extreme care must be used. The motif of a falling out of cocksuckers would be sure to be popular, which is patently undesirable and forms an unknown but unavoidable bond between us.
What the fuck did you just say?
Basically, he's like, hey, if like you need to keep being my friend or I'll tell people about us fucking each other.
Oh, okay.
But and then he threatens to kill him, and then he goes, but I love you, but I will kill you, but let's suck each other's dicks. But people will know if we're cocksuckers because I'll tell them
said it
that's
back and
bad
forth
for
and
you.
then
And,
Move back and forth
Nathan
and saying
fully
it.
knows that his room's being searched. It's not like some,
Well, at this point now, he knows now.
Yeah.
But he probably has so much stuff like dead
Oh wait,
birds in
he
there.
didn't know when it happened though. Like
He didn't know beforehand. We didn't write the letter intending it to be found.
Yeah. It was, but he knows he's under investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's probably waiting outside, but he's probably...
But he
does even
thinks
remember?
he's fucking covered.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm
Now-
fucking way smarter than all these fucking pigs, and they can't...
They don't know how to collect birds like me.
Yeah, I'm fucking...
No one
Scotty
does,
Reed.
bruh.
Yeah.
How many birds do you have? 5? Pff, pussy.
I am paranoid of bird people now.
Now the cops put the screws to Nathan. How did his glasses end up next to the body? That was easy to explain, as Nathan had gone on a bird-watching/killing trip just a few days ago. He even had witnesses. They must have fallen out of his coat pocket. So the cops gave him his glasses and asked him to fall down. He did, twice, and the glasses stayed put.
Damn, he should have fallen down like this. This is if you're listening, the visual I'm going to do is my head shaking while I'm falling. That That's what he should have done,
Yeah.
and it would have worked. But
He should have fallen by like kind of jumping upwards and thrusting his chest out a little
or
bit,
like
and then
falling,
being upside down.
and he's like, "Oh, I'm so surprised!" So his hands go up, and
I mean, in all defense of of them, like you can't really get a true reading off of a fake fall.
Yeah. I mean, really, this guy, if OJ's trial had happened before this, he
Yeah.
would have known you can just fuck like because this is the glove moment. Like
Yeah.
OJ just pretended like the glove couldn't fit.
Yeah.
you know, he should have done.
If the glasses don't fit,
if the glasses don't fall, you're going to jail.
yeah, you ain't going to jail.
Yeah.
If the glasses don't fail, no. If the glasses don't fall off,
Now the
You gotta
detectives
let my-
brought in Richard
my
Loeb,
client's gonna get off.
questioning him in a different room. The boys both had the same alibi. They had taken Leopold's red sports car and picked up two girls, Edna and May, taking them to fool around.
Oh
But
yeah,
when the
we're
girl-
just a couple of straight guys, officer. We fucked those chicks.
Yeah, and like we were like fingering them with the fucking sculpture thing. What's that thing called?
with the chisel.
we were fingering them with a
Oh,
chisel.
God.
We got done. We threw it out the window. Completely believable, cops.
Come on, cops. We're just a couple of straight guys.
But when the
out having a
girls
good
had
time.
hesitated, they dropped them off on the side of the road. Douchey, but not illegal. But the detectives didn't buy it since they just read a letter saying that the boys were gay.
yeah.
They were like, you guys went to go fuck some girls?
They should have used the heteronormative argument of like there is a Kinsey scale. Everyone is on it
Yeah.
from 0 to 7. Most people fall in the middle. You yourself are probably by.
Yeah. Don't look me in the eye, officer, and tell me you haven't had sex with a chimpanzee or some sort of horse.
Look, I'm a 5. So
So that means you're probably a 2.7. So
then
on,
they
cop.
found the major piece of evidence. The typewriter used for the ransom note matched Leopold's notes from
Wait,
law
they found
school.
it in the water?
Well, they haven't found it yet, but they did find that the ransom note,
Yeah.
that it had been used with this, had been written with the same typewriter as Nathan Leopold's notes.
Oh. So even though they didn't find the typewriter, they're like, this is the same typewriter made
The
this.
same typewriter
Like
wrote
the
both of these
fingerprint of the
things.
typewriter. You
exactly.
fucking assholes, you're getting caught, bitches. They
Meanwhile,
probably don't even care. They're like, I'm rich.
news of the detentions made it to the press, who went to the Leopold and Loeb families for comment. The parents were so sure their boys were innocent, they didn't even send in attorneys. So a big part of this, we're not going to get into heavily, is that the families were so convinced their boys were safe, and the boys were so convinced that they were safe, that they never had an attorney go in. They never requested an
They
attorney.
didn't even take
an
it seriously.
attorney. What do you mean go in?
Well, like,
Like, to get
when you're
questioned,
arrested,
like, you're supposed to
when
be
you're
like,
arrested, you go,
my lawyer.
I won't talk to you until my lawyer's here.
Yeah.
And they just went, fuck it.
Yeah.
And so these guys were in questioning for days, being held for days with no attorney because they were like, the parents were like, we don't need one. They didn't do anything. And the kids were like, we don't need one because we're brilliant.
They literally didn't take it seriously
They're like,
at all.
yeah, we're our own lawyers. We're IQ. We're Uber mentions.
Yeah.
Uber mentions are also law degrees.
Don't even Uber mention it.
The
No
family was
problem. Such a fucking weird term, Uber mention. It seems cute. Like, he's an Uber mention, and you pinch his cheek.
Yo, I got like 5 Uber mentions. Check your app.
the family was happy to learn from their chauffeur that Nathan could not have committed the murder, as his red sports car had been in the garage all day under repair.
Oh,
Hell yeah,
how could he have
dude.
committed it without his red sports car?
Excited, they sent him to give his testimony to the state's attorney. They had no idea they were sending their own chauffeur to destroy their son's alibi. The chauffeur told the detectives about repairing the car that day and how the boys instead had been driving a green rental.
Because then nobody knew. Oh, God, this is great.
Well, also, their whole story was, we took the convertible out to fuck these chicks in the woods. And then their chauffeur comes and goes like, guys, they didn't do it because I had their red convertible that they said they were using to fuck chicks in the woods.
Because he doesn't know the
has no-
backstory
yeah.
either, so he thinks he's helping him. Like, I'll make sure you don't go to jail, boys.
The parents do too. Richard Loeb broke first, confessing to everything.
Really?
He told them that Nathan had planned the entire thing and committed the actual murder. He had just been the driver.
Whoa! After all his fucking big talk.
I'm a Uber mention. I fucking kill people because it's fun. It's crazy.
This is why you don't force people to be your boyfriend or girlfriend. Because
Yeah.
when the shit
Then
comes down
then
and you go
murder
to
happens.
no, I'm just saying when you go to talk
When
to
you
the
murder
cops,
somebody,
they'll be
yeah.
like, he did it.
And this is why you can't trust like overly confident people because it's always a front and they'll fall apart like straws.
That's one thing I'm confident of. Is that
Yeah.
you can't overly
I don't trust you anymore.
I don't trust you anymore either.
They took his
This show's made us paranoid of each other. Yeah. How do I know you didn't do it, Slaton?
I don't know. How do I know I didn't do it either? You know, I mean, shit.
I thought you were going to point at me.
They took Richard's confession and marched right over to Nathan,
He's a marshal. He's going to arrest both of us.
who told
You're
them that
both under watch now.
Nathan told them Richard was the mastermind and that he was the driver. The one thing they both
They both lied the same way?
the one thing they both agreed on was that they'd done it because they were smarter than everybody else and they thought they could get away with it.
Wait, they even thought they could get away with it after they
Well,
admitted they did it?
when they both confessed,
No, he's saying when they
both
confessed,
thrust
they
it like
we thought
well,
we
we were better than everybody, and so that's why
And
we
you'll
did it.
see when this goes to trial that we'll be fine.
The trial,
We're
of
allowed to
course,
do this.
became a media spectacle. It was now the third named trial of the century.
What were the first two?
One of them was a story that is in our archives.
Okay.
And then one of them is one that we might
say
end
the
up
story,
doing.
though, so I know it.
It was OJ.
Nope, we haven't done OJ yet.
the one we did-
We will, but we haven't done it yet.
We'll talk about that one.
Okay.
Whatchamacallit, I can't remember the name of it right now.
I swear I thought this was going to be the Lindenberg baby.
No, not
didn't it seem-
the Lindbergh.
Lindbergh, yeah, whatever. Shut up, you with your.
I don't
The
know
Lindenberg
anything about
sausage baby.
Yeah, that's right. The fucking Lederhosen baby, but
Wait, Lindenberg was the pilot. Lindbergh is something different.
The Hindenburg was the
Hindenburg is the
was the blimp.
We're all confused. The Hindenburg baby, right? It was on the blimp. It got killed, and then it exploded in the
I
fire.
just want to let you guys know at the beginning I was feeling really intimidated by your guys' IQ, but now I realize we're on the same page. Go on.
The families hired Clarence Darrow, one of the top criminal defense attorneys in the country. Everyone expected the typical argument of the time: not guilty by reason of insanity. Especially because two psychiatrists had been hired and written an 80,000-word report
Jesus,
Money,
they must have
man.
charging by the hour.
detailing the grand delusions and peculiarities of the two boys. So you asked where all this information came from?
Yeah, it was these
This
psychiatrists.
80,000 psychiatrist page thing.
They just told all this to a
But how'd they get all
Yeah.
this info? How did they get info?
They-
Not know that they're just
they-
filling in the blanks themselves.
I guess he like interviewed them and they told him everything.
Oh, wow.
He probably filled in some stuff himself too.
Darrow surprised everyone in court.
Can you
when he-
imagine interviewing these fucking assholes?
And they're just being like, yes, our affair first started when I wanted to commit crimes and he said he would only do it if I sucked his dick.
They said some pretty crazy
You're trying
shit.
not to laugh, but you're like, these are murderers, and they think they're better than us too.
We're Uber mentioned, by the way, in cuffs. Yeah.
Richard Loeb had
Get 10% off your next Uber ride by mentioning us. I'm sorry.
Richard Loeb had actually told his attorney, like, both of them had said stuff about, like, well, this is just an experiment. I mean, this is the same thing as if, like, a
lab rat kind of thing.
This is like if
This is
a bug scientist, I can't remember what it's called right now,
Biologist?
No, a bird
Insectologist?
scientist.
because they very specifically said that this is the same thing as when a what's the name of the thing? A bug scientist puts a pin through a beetle to study it.
That's a biologist, right?
Yeah, there's a word.
Insectologist.
Entomologist.
Entomologist? That's
Something like that.
Entomins. From cake.
Darrow
Coffee
surprised everyone in court when he entered a plea of guilty. He determined that a jury trial would almost certainly end in the death penalty, and this was the only way to avoid it.
Was Darrow their lawyer?
Yeah.
And Darrow he pleaded guilty for both of them together. So they
And
were tried together.
He was hired to represent them, and he was like, yeah, we're going with guilty because you guys are fucking guilty.
And who was the one who was trying to do the insanity thing? Their parents or?
Well, just everyone thought that's what was coming. Everyone was like, that's going to be another insanity plea because that's what you do in these kind of trials.
Do you think they would have won if they did that?
Probably not.
Okay, because there's so
Probably-
much overwhelming
There's
evidence.
so much
But they're
crazy
so
shit.
rich. They're worth $100 million. I mean, can't you do anything? We've seen so many times in these stories. People get away
I
with
mean,
murder.
like-
That's how insane this whole situation is like the best attorney in the country was like, yeah, you're not getting
Well,
off
have you
this.
guys done the Jinx one yet?
No.
See, that's the crazy.
Oh, the Jinx of the HBO special?
Have you guys
Oh,
watched
yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay,
He's going to write about it, though, for an episode. Yeah, don't say anything about it.
Okay.
Don't tell me.
Let's just put it this way. It's a story.
The sentencing hearing lasted for 32 days. The state presented over 100 witnesses and a mountain of evidence, including the murder weapon and the typewriter, which they found after extensive search.
So someone finally did turn in the chisel.
yeah.
Okay. We didn't
like,
mention that. So I was
I
wondering.
thought
was
that
like, when
if
is it-
you pled guilty, it was just like, oh, we don't even have to do the trial.
Well, sometimes pleading guilty, like they make a they make a deal with the DA first, and like, hey, we're pleading guilty in order to get this. Apparently, that's not what happened here. I don't know exactly why, or if that's a newer thing, or like,
Maybe
how
they
that
were
worked.
pleading guilty to some lower charge or something, like of like.
No,
manslaughter.
they pled guilty to murder. They pled guilty to the whole thing. But it was a strategy. So here's what happens
Okay.
next. The defense presented the psychiatrist's findings as a mitigating circumstance. At the end of the month-long hearing,
Would be
Darrow closed with a 12-hour-long speech that has been
what?
called...
What would be so funny is if the people, the prosecutors, actually pled not guilty towards them. They switched places.
Yeah. You know what? No, you're not
You're
guilty. Wait, what's happening now?
Guilty of writing a really long speech. 12 hours, you say?
He gave a 12-hour speech that has
they
been
break
called
for
the
lunch?
finest of his career.
I mean, it was definitely the longest.
Remember, this is that time period where, like, Teddy Roosevelt was giving, like, 5-hour speeches and shit.
I agree
in
with the
1905.
5-hour Teddy Roosevelt
Yeah.
speech, but
People are just
12-hour
falling
speech?
asleep.
Yes.
They're like, how much of that is improv? A lot of it, I'm sure. He didn't write all that.
He ad-libbed that part. That part was something that was happening in the room.
In the speech, Darrow quoted poetry, referenced the Civil War, and railed against the cruelty of the death penalty. In September of 1924, the judge finally sentenced Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb to life in prison for the murder, plus 99 more years for the kidnapping.
I do not understand the life plus 99
That means
years
that, like,
Because fuck you. That's
that,
why.
means like if they even got parole or they got good halftime for good behavior,
Yeah.
they'd still be stuck in
But they
prison.
could just give you like life with parole, right?
it doesn't
No,
work that
life
way.
without parole.
We still go by some old school rules nowadays where you kind of have to cover your ass by like being like, you're in jail for 300 years, so they're stuck.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the boys had one more stroke of luck left up their sleeves.
Ooh.
They were sent to the same prison.
Nice.
Oh my god! Now we can suck each other's dicks for life sentence.
We can form a whole fucking crime spree in here where we steal cigarettes and shank
Hey,
people.
baby, maybe you could finally act out that thing where they strip you naked and beat you senseless.
They continued their relationship and spent their time expanding the prison school system, adding a high school and junior college. For a while, both boys received a significant allowance from their families, which they used to buy goods from the commissary and to bribe other prisoners to not fuck them up. But eventually, the families cut them off. The other inmates did not like the rich snobs, and they liked them even less when the money ran dry.
Yeah, with no cash, and these guys are probably thinking they're better than everyone over there. Your
They're
IQ isn't
like,
high enough.
they're there the first couple months and they're like, here, don't mess with me, you fucking impotent piece of shit.
yeah.
Here's $2. And then they run out of money and they're like,
Here's a pack
No,
of
your dick is
cigarettes.
very hard. I'm sorry I called it not impotent at all. Oh, look at it. It's throbbing. It's so veiny.
You're not a dumb primate. I don't need what I said. Here's some cash.
So,
Gold
as a
coin. Flick,
sidebar,
flick.
Richard Loeb's cellmate was like, apparently there was a bunch of problems, and Richard Loeb's cellmate was like threatening him and fucking him up, and maybe abusing him sexually. Not
With these
entirely
wonderful
sure.
personalities?
And then
No.
he eventually got transferred away. And then on January 28th, 1936, as Richard and Nathan are working in the school office area,
Si, senor.
the roommate, the old cellmate, walks by and goes to Richard like, "Hey, I'll see you later." That night, Richard was attacked in the shower by his former cellmate.
Over.
He suffered over 50 wounds from a straight razor.
Whoa!
wow.
Nathan met his friend in the prison hospital, but it was too late.
He died? Oh,
Richard
whoa.
Loeb died. His last words were, "I think I'm going to make it."
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's the goofiest.
His last words were, maybe I'm not an Ubermensch.
Embarrassed that they let it happen, prison officials labeled the murder as self-defense.
Oh my god.
Nathan
against this
briefly-
annoying fucking snooty bitch.
Nathan briefly lost his mind even more than normal. After washing his friend's dead body, he returned to work. But in his off time, he would scream in his cell for hours until they finally moved him to the mental ward. He eventually recovered and lived the rest of his sentence as a model prisoner, even volunteering to be subjected to malaria to help study the disease.
Whoa.
Ooh, it's just a fucking, experiment.
Yeah,
like when a bug scientist, he walked the walk. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And he's just like, I want to contribute now.
Yeah.
To all the dumb people of the
His
world.
autobiography, Life Plus 99 Years,
That's a good title.
was right?
It's a good album title too,
Yeah.
isn't it? For a
Was
stand-up
published
or
in
a rap
1958.
artist.
I mean, he's the original, fucking Tupac putting your album out from jail. That's what he did.
Through the Wire.
Yeah.
Well, Tupac didn't kill any kids, but it's a good
But
comparison.
his shit was
He's
out
the
while he was in jail.
ex-motherfucking rated of this time period, if
Yes,
anyone knows
yes,
Bay Area
yes,
rap.
Yes.
But the autobiography did not mention any of his weird past or the murder. It was mostly an attempt to
What?
rehabilitate his image.
What was he talking about then? It was like
How dope I am.
Like the very beginning of the book is like, so I'm in jail for like 99 years plus, and they just
Look, life was 99 years. By the way, I'm a 65. Most of you are 40s or below.
so I did some shit and I ended up in jail. That's just the epilogue, and then it's like,
Look at all
the
these
prologue.
birds I found.
Yeah. I kill a kid, so sue me. Listen to me. I'm helping out with the malaria
Here's my list of churches
vaccine.
from my old neighborhood. After 33 years in jail,
Just take care of my birds, please.
Nathan Leopold, now in his 50s,
Mother, are you watching my birds?
was granted parole
Wow.
What? At what age?
in his 50s.
So now he
No.
just has the 99 years, or did they?
No, they granted him parole. They let him out.
Wow.
No way.
The next year, he sued to prevent production of a film about the murders on the ground that the book it was based on had defamed his character and violated his privacy. The courts disagreed, since as a confessed murderer, his reputation had already been defamed.
They're like, nigga, you already weird as hell. Everyone knows.
He's out walking around?
Well, I mean,
At 55, they let him out?
yeah, in his 50s, let him out. Yeah,
After he murdered that fucking kid?
Yeah.
How long did he spend in jail?
33 years.
Yeah, I get it. You know,
I mean, that's enough for many crimes, but like murdering is
Still
like, that's-
notorious.
people get out after murder.
I know, but that's still weird. Every single, you tell me a million cases, and I'll still be like, that's weird. They should.
Yeah, I get it.
Still notorious.
The bank robbers that get out, you're like, all right, they probably changed their ways and learned a little bit. They were bank robbers, but like, he's a murderer. Like, you're just like, I don't know if I ever want to trust him around people.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that like people can have their brains changed if they committed? They did this when they were teenagers still.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were teenagers.
No, they were college kids.
Well, yeah,
They were,
but they were young.
They were like
college kids.
17, 18, 19.
Because they
somewhere
were
in that
like
range
they
when
went to
it was happening.
college really early.
Yeah.
I feel like that about most things, but murder, it's even if they have changed their ways, I'm like, I still don't think you should be around
Well,
this.
I think that murderers I think premeditated murderers, like, hey, we have a chart and a graph and a plan.
Yeah.
That I'm like, no, put that guy inside.
Yeah.
There's a lot of murderers that are like a crime of passion. Like, I murdered someone in the moment. I didn't
Yeah, like-
sit down and draw it out.
Yeah, yeah.
And that
It's
person,
like,
like,
yeah.
I threw a rock at his head. I didn't think it would kill him.
Yeah, and an unfortunate bar fight.
That's
yeah,
manslaughter.
of course,
manslaughter. Or like, hey, like, there's murderers who are like, I got really pissed off one night and I murdered this dude.
Yeah.
Right, like that. I'm sitting there
But
going,
these guys are not
25
those guys.
to 30 years.
These
Yeah.
aren't those guys. These
No,
are
no.
fucking
Oh, yeah, these were
100%.
But also, I was unsure about whether Armin Muse, the cannibal guy who like ate his lover or whatever consensually.
But it's consensual.
Yeah, so that one's one of those ones where
Also,
I'm like,
I want to hear about the one like woman that's like really for changing. Like, why is it just called manslaughter? There should also be manslaughter, and I believe that
Yeah, I mean,
it should be person slaughter.
it should be person slaughter, body slaughter.
Still notorious after he
body slaughter.
Nathan Leopold moved to Puerto Rico,
Oh, that's where they always go.
where he became a medical technician and married a widowed woman.
What?
He lived out the rest of his life in Puerto Rico, where he continued to
He
catalog
changed
birds.
a lot in jail.
No, I don't know if he changed a lot or he just like, I'm going to have to really make a weird persona now. Square it up.
Wait, where did he move
medical
to?
He moved to
technician?
Puerto Rico.
Where the fuck you go to a doctor and that guy's working there?
Where he continued to catalog birds until his death in 1971 at the age of 66.
I mean, in Puerto Rico, everyone probably doesn't even know. They're just like, fuck it, whatever, white guy.
This is Rico's port, man. You can get away with murder.
Do you think his family gave like he must have gotten an inheritance? They probably took him out of the will.
I have no idea I don't know how like the money situation happened.
What did he die from at
afterwards.
66?
A
broken
heart attack from diabetes caused by diabetes.
Dang, it's
A
probably
diabetic
all
heart
those,
attack.
all those sweets from being a young rich kid going to the lollipop store.
All those birds, dude.
All those
all those
birds. Birds
candy.
are very sweet.
Candy crows, dog. Hurt your
Yeah,
heart.
playa.
Gotta be careful, playa.
That's the story of Leopold and Loeb.
Oh my god.
The third crime of the century
And I just want to say, as a Jew, I apologize for everything they did.
I want to say that like at first when we were reading it, I was like, this would make a good movie, and it still would make like an interesting to watch movie.
Sure.
But I don't know if there's a point for it. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
you can't get behind any of these characters.
What are you
except for the
trying
people
to-
that were murdered?
there are movies like I guess the thing.
what's the point of Seven then? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. What's the point of that Seven? What's the point of like Thelma and Louise? I guess Thelma and Louise is like it's because they have this love between them, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. And I guess these guys kind of have that.
Thelma and Louise was honestly that was like a old what do you, like
Bonnie and Clyde type.
Yeah, like it was like, and they both come from a world where they're like fucking bossed around by a bunch of douchey dudes.
I think if these guys would have been more successful criminals and committed more murders, then it would be worth a movie. Because they couldn't even do their first one. It's like, why are we gonna make a movie about you guys? You guys suck.
But you'd have to make it into a good movie. You have to have somebody that the humanity that you can get behind. So you'd have to have a detective in this movie that you're like, or you know a lot about the people that got murdered.
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
just
yeah.
to focus on these guys, like I don't care how you tell me that this guy was rehabilitated, that he became a medical technician, and even if he saved a bunch of lives, you'd still be
You
like,
know, a movie that's like this
something's
though,
going on.
is it's not the original Silence of the Lambs. It's Hannibal Rising, where
Oh,
it
I
just
haven't seen
focuses
that
on
one.
Hannibal
Yeah, I haven't
as a
seen that
young
one.
guy.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty much this. It's just like, this guy's fucked up. He's the main character. He eats people. That's just what he does.
yeah.
And you're just kind of like, I guess I guess this is
Sometimes we make some people that are broken.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this giant culture machine. We
So
make some
this
broken
story
folks.
has been turned into a number of things. Like there was a play called Rope in 1929, and it was also on BBC television. Alfred Hitchcock made a film called Rope about it as well. There was a book called Compulsion, the one that was turned into a film that he sued about, and it's been turned into like a bunch of different films and books and
there's
a bunch of
actually
different shit.
an app called Ubermention that
Yeah.
they made. So that's a new one. What's the most recent like film they made?
The most recent one, let's see. The most recent film looks like, well, first of all, there's Stephen Dolgonoff's 2005 off-Broadway musical called Thrill Me, the Leopold and Loeb story. That's funny. Let's see, there's a black comedy from 2002 called RSVP.
All black people, same story.
Yeah, it's the Hamilton of this of Leopold and Loeb.
Yeah.
They just rap the entire time.
There was like a British version, and then it was like, have you seen Death at a Funeral? How they made a black version?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. They're like, we're gonna do the same thing, except it's gonna star Steve Harvey and Kevin Hart. You know?
Yeah, right. They just do Game of Thrones over again with Mike Epps.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I love that.
Dude, it'd be great.
The Mike Epps Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He's Ned Stark, but then you lose him in the first season, though.
True. Who would be Jon Snow? Probably like Brandon T. Jackson or something.
Brandon T. Jackson would be a great Jon Snow.
Yeah.
He'd make him so much less boring. Like he's like, oh, I'm so mopey.
He'd just be like, motherfucker, I do know things. Yeah, I know nothing, bitch. Get out of here.
You guys are looking at me.
Today's-
I'm not a Game of Thrones
You're
guy.
not Game of
I don't know
Thrones?
any
Okay.
kind of reference.
Today's sources include For the Thrill of It by Simon Batts, and of course, The Evil Robots at Wikipedia.
Boo. But thank you for your info, robots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of humans, but robots are all right.
Biniam, where can the universe people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Biniam Biz, and also on Instagram at Biniam Biz, and check out my Comedy Central Snapchat and YouTube
Yeah.
show, How to Be Broke.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I watched one of the episodes, the one with Teddy Ray and you guys doing the whole how to get food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that exists. So check it out on YouTube. Just search How to Be Broke.
Check it out, guys.
You can
It's
follow
fucking
this
great.
show on all the socials at Crime Pod. You can also email the show, crimepodcast@gmail.com. Send us
Yeah.
any story ideas you
Yes.
have,
Yes.
any questions you might have for us,
Yes.
any
Yes.
dick pics you want.
Don't send those.
Label those for Shefsky.
Nope. Send pictures
As
of your
usual.
asshole for Slaton.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Big pictures of your asshole.
Yes, big dick pics for John Shefsky.
Nope. No dick pics for me. Thank you.
And we love you guys.
Yeah.
Just want
Thanks
you to
for
know
listening,
that.
guys.
You're the best. Give us a review on iTunes if you have a chance. It's pretty cool.
And thanks for all the good reviews that have been there.
Fuck to the yeah, bro.
Seriously, Brosafinas. Really appreciate it, guys.
Bye, robot.
Bye, Roman.
Peace.
Bye.